Glad you're here, Sagittarius rising. It's Cosmic Girl 101 talking astrology for February. Trust you're doing well and wishing everyone in advance a happy Valentine's Day for the 14th, should you celebrate it. Sagittarius rising, we're going to be talking about Jupiter stationing direct this month. That's good news for you as a Sag rising when your ruling planet goes direct. I'm going to be talking about in this video what that means for you. We also have Mercury very active. Planet Mercury is very busy in the month of February. So he's like the planet that's the key protagonist, kicking things up, if you will. And of course, we're going to be talking about what that means for you in this video also. We'll discuss the lunation, full moon in Leo, the new moon in Pisces, planets in transits, and their alignments. So it's a packed video. And I'm sure you'll have some astrological magic to work with when we're talking about the astrology in a chronological order for you in this video. Before we get into it, the big standout is the actions happening in your fourth house being Pisces. You have a stellium going on in Pisces, so that's your focus, if you will. The fourth house, which is very private, it's subterranean. That's the subterranean part of the chart. It's to do with your roots, your heritage, your lineage, your family home, real estate and property topics, and parents and parenting. So that house is very active with lots of planets in transits there at the moment. So that is the focus. And of course, we are going to talk about what that means for you, Sagittarius, moving forward in February's astrology in this video. Let's get to it. On the 4th of the month, we have Venus leaving her sign of exaltation, Pisces, your fourth house, and she is going to cruise on into Aries in your fifth house. And we're going to talk about what that means. And the same day, on the 4th, Jupiter, your ruling planet, Sagittarius rising, goes direct in Gemini in your seventh house. So the two benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, are shifting on the 4th of February. So let's get into what this means for you. With Venus ingressing into Aries in your fifth house of fun and joy, this is actually Venus's house that she finds joy in. And this is the house, the temple of Aries. And this is Mars's temple. Mars is the planet that rules the zodiac sign of Aries. So with this transit, as a Sagittarius rising, this is interesting because with Venus and Aries, and this is in your natal chart, I would imagine that you enjoy the cat and mouse chase when it comes to intimacy and your intimate relationships. You may find it amusing to push each other's buttons. You may find it frustrating one day with your partner, and then the next day you're all hot and heavy. So you might have some very hot and cold moments with your intimate relationships. And now that Venus is transiting here, it's going to become more so. So we're doubling down on the hot and spicy fun and the cat and mouse game when it comes to your romantic connections. The fifth house is also the house connected to children. So children may be a little bit extra with this transit. So watch out for children overindulging or children partnering up with this transit. You may be surprised that your child comes home, if that's applicable to you, and says, I'm dating someone, and that you might be thrown for six with that if they have never dated anyone. Or they may say, I've dropped my partner and I'm starting to date someone else, or I'm not dating anymore. And that would surprise you. So children and relationships become different as well with this transit, and their own personal relationships. You may also be seeking out a hobby, something you can do that's entrepreneurial, something just for you with this transit, something that makes you feel that you can embody yourself in a creative pursuit with this transit, which is really quite nice. So the fifth house is being lit up, and it's feisty, it's fun, it's sexy, it's sassy, and I think you're all for it because it's in your natal chart. But now that Venus is transiting here, it really does amplify. the fun being turned up exponentially for you. So enjoy that transit with Venus in your 5th house from the 4th of the month for the rest of February. And yes, the same day, Jupiter, your ruling planet, goes direct in Gemini. It's at 11 degrees for all the astro nerds out there that work with degrees. And this is your 7th house. So your 7th house as a Sagittarius rising is Gemini. And your ruling planet, Jupiter, is in detriment in Gemini. So what does that mean? Well, Jupiter being in Gemini, it may be all about relationships, agreements, and partnerships. So you might be, for better words, exhausted by so much activity that's going on with others, and you're all up in it with this transit potentially. Well, your Jupiter, your ruling planet, has been retrograde for months, and now from the 4th it goes direct. So what you can expect at the very least is all of the back and forward and the ups and downs with relationships, agreements, and partnerships. Things become easier to deal with. Things become a lot more easier to deal with. Things start to even out and an even keel. And that also indicates that Jupiter, because it rules your 1st house of your mind, body, spirit, and soul, your sense of self and how other people see you, you are more in flow in regards to those topics and subjects of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and agreements. You've learned a lot. You've been going through a lot. You've learned to duck and weave and adapt and work within your parameters to your best ability. And moving forward, when your ruling planet Jupiter goes direct, you're certain about what works and what doesn't when it comes to relationships and agreements. Simple as. You're either in or you're out. You're too exhausted. There's too much toing and froing. Or at least you come to some sort of agreement with a relationship that's more amicable for both of you and connected with contracts and partnerships. So that is positive news for you as a Sagittarius rising, and for all of us when Jupiter goes direct in Gemini from the 4th of February. Moving on from the 10th to the 12th of the month, we have Mercury and the Sun conjunct in Aquarius. And whilst that conjunction's happening, both Mercury and the Sun are squaring Uranus and Taurus. So let's talk about this day. This is an interesting planetary alignment day, actually, astrologically. A Mercury-Sun conjunction is a moment of impactful information, a sharpening of the mind, communication, movement. There is something active going on this day. Mercury is active, Sun is active. So there's an active activity going on for you from the 10th to the 12th. And the Sun conjuncts Mercury. In your 3rd house, short distance travel, siblings, cousins, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your immediate environment, anything to do with vehicles, education. This is up in the spotlight because that's where Mercury and the Sun are conjuncting in Aquarius in your 3rd house. So something's going on in your immediate environment that's familiar to you, and it sets something off in motion that's mercurial, whether that's travel, communication, a monetary discussion, paperwork, or a social event. It's a big day for all of us on the 10th to the 12th when Mercury conjuncts the Sun, but it's happening in your immediate environment and connected to those house and those topics and subjects of the house, which is the 3rd house. And what's interesting about this conjunction with this big news, this big event, this big conversation, it's squaring Uranus and Taurus, your 6th house of work, health, services, labor, and pets. So something in the immediate environment could be affecting those topics and subjects of the 6th house. So this could be information that you get that impacts you in the day-to-day that has a knock-on effect to your 6th house. So this could be a car breaking down, a pet has an accident. There could be a technological problem in the workplace that stops everyone working on this day. It could be a plethora of things. But ultimately, this day is about disruption. So from the 10th to the 12th, expect disruption, and it may be mentally difficult to process and deal with these 2 days. So take it easy with this planetary alignment. On the 13th, we have a full moon in Leo. Who doesn't like a full moon in Leo? My goodness, talk about over the top, exuberant, exaggerated, passionate, heartfelt, full on expression. This is going to be a day we're all going to remember when we have a full moon in Leo on the 13th of February. It's happening at 24 degrees in your ninth house of expansion and growth. You've gone as far as you can go when it comes to travel, higher education, your spiritual path, and dealing with foreign people, places, and faces. And you are ready to step it up to another level. So if you've been contemplating, oh, I'm feeling caged, I'm not too sure if what I've been engaged in for a while is really ticking my boxes, this is the day where you really start feverishly researching bigger ideas and places to engage with, things to learn. You are possibly being a little bit extra on this day and not settling for second best when it comes to the bigger world. You want to get in it and amongst it on the 13th of February. So expect exacerbation, but it's fun. Moving on to the 14th, we have Mercury ingress into Pisces, your fourth house, kicking up that stellium in that private part of your chart, Sagittarius rising. Mercury's in full and in detriment in Pisces. So in short, we have Mercury, the planet of communication, money, socializing, movement, travel, in a zodiac sign where it feels anchored and not able to move organically and do mercurial things on the fly. So Mercury is frustrated, in short, when it's transiting in your fourth house of home, family, real estate, property, parents, parenting, heritage, lineage, your roots and ancestry. So what does this mean in practical parts of our lives? How do we talk about this astro babble and what this transit looks like for you with Mercury all banged up in a zodiac sign it can't stand being in? Well, this is where we can have some heated moments in regards to processing the logistics, the paperwork, the communication needed in a family unit, and what makes you feel secure on the day to day. What is it that's making you mentally frustrated? This transit may bring you some answers, even though emotionally uncomfortable. So it can be a tricky transit with Mercury in your fourth house, guys. On the 18th, we have the Sun now ingress into Pisces, your fourth house, and the Sun will be here for 4 weeks. So the stellium's really kicking up now. So although we've got Mercury in detriment and fall in Pisces, we've got Saturn in Pisces, we've got Neptune in Pisces, North Node in Pisces. When the Sun steps into your fourth house, things start lighting up in as far as mysteries, and all the chaos can now sort of come back into order. You will be very grateful that the Sun is shown up in your fourth house of Pisces for 4 weeks as a Sagittarius rising. You can start to feel a little bit more optimistic about breathing life into things that are dormant or chaotic when it comes to your home life and the fourth house subjects and topics. Nice little caveat with the Sun now in your fourth house. On the 24th, we have Mars stationed to go direct in Cancer at 17 degrees for all those astro nerds out there in your 8th house of shared finances. Fabulous. If there's needed, if you have needed to re-strategize, move in different ways in regards to establishing more financial freedom for yourself with Mars going direct, you should be able to connect the dots more organically, like where the money's been draining, where there has been some conflict with shared resources. Things can now start to be dealt with more organically now that Mars is direct. So the conflict or the challenges with your shared finances and resources can now at least be addressed with more emotional maturity now that Mars is direct instead of retrograde, really putting you through it when it comes to financial entanglements. So that is a welcome change up with Mars going direct in Cancer in your 8th house. And that 8th house actually trines your 4th house. And that is positive because you do have that stellium in your 4th house, but it's actually sextiling Mars in the 8th, trining Mars in the 8th. So the 8th house of home, real estate, property, privacy, ancestry, real estate, parents, parenting, trining that 8th house of other people's resources, shared finances, tax, debt, and inheritance. Those two houses become easier to deal with because Mars is direct, not retrograde. So that is positive. On the 25th, this is a big planetary alignment day. Mercury conjunct Saturn in your 4th house. So this is ending a debt, having a frank conversation, a definite change of the guard is happening here in your 4th house of home, family, real estate, and property on the 25th. So it's a big decision day. And the same day, Venus in Aries sextiles Jupiter, your ruling planet in Gemini. In your 7th house and your 5th house, two benefics agree. So there's a sextile going on. So your ruling planet's being blessed by the other benefic Venus. And so this looks like there could be like a financial contract or some finances or relationships sort of get cemented in a very auspicious way that improves your home and family dynamics. So I really like the 25th of February for the Sagittarius risings. Expect good news whilst there's some very determined decisions going on at the same time, all monetary conversations and exchanges that are quite lucrative. Really nice. On the 28th of the month, we have a new moon in Pisces in your 4th house at 9 degrees. So a new moon always heralds a new beginning, and it's an emotional one. It's a brand new one, and it's creative, and it's intuitive, and it's compassionate, and it's loving. So this indicates this new moon for you, Sagittarius rising, that you're maybe considering a different home, your new home. You might be planning to move or want to renovate the home. You may want to, who knows, just Sagittarius rising. Do you want to bring in a new family member? Do you want to have a child? This could be the new moon where you start to feel you need to nurture something. So bring in more plants. You might want to renovate. You may want to feng shui your home. Could be a plethora of things that we want to do. We're all very individual. But this new moon is steering towards something that's emotionally creative and sustaining for yourself. And this looks like a nice day on the 28th to just drop into your psychic body and intuition. Maybe turn down the lights, shut the doors in your home, and just enjoy a day of bliss in quiet. Enjoy the 28th with a new moon in Pisces in your 4th house at 9 degrees. Wow, what a month astrologically for you, Sagittarius rising. So yes, that 4th house is on fire, literally. There's so much going on in your 4th house. But your relationships and your house of joy all seems to be chugging along quite nicely, which might be why there's lots of dynamic changes going on in the home and family unit. And that can be quite good as far as your ruling planet Jupiter sextiling Venus. And there can be some contentious moments. I mean, I'm not going to gloss over that, especially when it comes to your romantic connections and children and hobbies and what you do for pleasure. But it's still a pretty spicy transit that's going to have you feeling like you're on your toes and you feel a little bit excited. So I don't think that's too much of a problem, is it, really? But because there's so much concentration on your 4th house, that the fun and the excitement might be clashing with your sense of rest and oh, it's all a bit too much and I need to rest instead of being so exacerbated. So that'll be a fine balancing act that you'll be trying to incorporate and adopt with these planets and transits in the month of February. But your ruling planet Jupiter's direct in Gemini, so that's very good news for all of us, and very good news for you because Jupiter rules your body, your first house, your sense of self, and your identity. So if there is something that you need to do with your physical body or change up your appearance, Jupiter's direct now, and it's like more organic and flowier and easier to do such things. So that's nice as a ruling planet that's been retrograding for such a long time. Might have been waiting a long time to change up something with your body, your identity. And it's just been all people, all other people, and you sort of maybe pushed yourself to the side. And that happens. That's life. But now Jupiter's direct things become easier for you. So you might start prioritizing you versus others a lot more organically. So the flexibility, it's not that you don't have it, it's just that there'll be more structure with your flexibility moving forward with those relationships, partnerships, agreements, and contracts, because you need to be able to fill your own cup up and look after your own physical body and your sense of self and not get all lost and wrapped up in other people's stuff. Okay, so that is your astrology for the month. I trust you got some value out of the content here. Feel free to leave any comments in the comments section below. I welcome that. Until next time, Sagittarius rising, stay cosmic.